Pretty upset. Pretty upset. So this show is going to have one great big positive at the end. A lot of what this show is going to be is probably me talking about things that irritate me. There's going to be some tweets that I have pulled off of internet.com in order to address some of the things that I keep seeing brought up, because there have been a whole lot of the same talking points bantered about around the Chiefs and this season over the past few weeks now, since it was pretty obvious that the Chiefs are going to be struggling this year. But I do want to start this saying this. The NFL, as it is currently constituted, is not set up for a team to make 5 of 6 Super Bowls. It's not set up for a team to win 3 Super Bowls in 6 seasons. It's not set up for a team to consistently go to the conference championship game 7 consecutive years, nearly a decade of conference championship appearances. It is not set up for a team to run their division for an entire decade. It's just not. Every time you win, you get pushed down the draft order, you get pushed down the waiver wire order. That has always punished teams in the NFL. However, then you have all of the parity that is thrown about when you start changing overtime rules, which the NFL has done seemingly simply to spite the Kansas City Chiefs. We all know the story around Josh Allen and when those overtime rules changed. A team is not supposed to win consistently through that. No other team has. No other team has. A team is not supposed to win as consistently as have the Kansas City Chiefs when the NFL has moved back the trade deadline in order for teams to really go in on making a run. A team is not supposed to win as consistently as have the Kansas City Chiefs when the playoff field is expanded, which might sound counterintuitive, until you take into account the fact that what that means is there's only one team getting a bye week. Any team in the NFL can beat any other team in the NFL over on any given weekend, right? That is the old phrase with the NFL, and I remember that I had looked something up and forgot to... Here we go. I forgot to save this into the show, so I'm just going to have to read it off of my phone. I apologize for not having a graphic for you. But you're not supposed to win this consistently when only one team gets a bye week. It's not supposed to happen. All of these things have been thrown in to increase parity. All of these things have been thrown in, by the way, after the Patriots dynasty, which the NFL had to have been sitting back and realized, great for people in New England, but 31 other NFL cities kind of hate this. They saw it starting back up in Kansas City and decided, we got to do something about this. That's not New England. That's flyover country. They can't have nice things. So, I talk about teams not supposed to be winning as consistently as have the Kansas City Chiefs, and all I'm really doing with these statements is saying them because, yeah, this sucks, guys. This is terrible. Nobody wanted the Chiefs to be 6-7, but we've been spoiled, right? We've been spoiled. We had no right to expect that the Kansas City Chiefs would make it to a 4th consecutive Super Bowl. Still, they could. They're not mathematically eliminated. Right? I haven't checked that. I believe they are not. Anyway, oh man. Anyway, so now I feel like an idiot. What was I saying? Oh, right. So this isn't working now. You're not supposed to win as consistently as this. And we had no right to believe that the Chiefs were going to go to a fourth consecutive Super Bowl. But we also have to realize that with everything set up for a team to not win consistently, eventually it's going to not happen. Also, having a bad year does not entail that a dynasty is over, does not preclude a winning season following. Listen to this. The Kansas City Chiefs, best winning percentage over the past 10 years, between December 8th, 2015 and December 8th, 2025. Now, I understand that not all of this is the Mahomes era, but it is all the Andy Reid era. The Kansas City Chiefs have the best winning percentage in the NFL with a 739 winning percentage. 739. Do you know who's second? The Buffalo Bills with a 634 winning percentage, 100 basis points lower. 105 basis points if you want to be particular. Number 3, 4, and 5 are all tied at 618. The Packers, the Steelers, and the Ravens. Number 6 is the Eagles at 613. So you can, so where was it? Yeah. The one that really surprised me, so over this time, we have seen the 49ers get to a couple of Super Bowls, right? They lost them, but they got to a couple Super Bowls. That's 2 more Super Bowls than most of the NFL has seen in this time. They have a winning percentage of 497. 497. The Chiefs, during this period, have lost 43 games over 10 years. The Bills, number 2, have lost 60. Okay, so this is not meant to happen. Certainly not meant to happen in the form, fashion, facet, and manner that the Kansas City Chiefs have managed to win during this time. It's just not supposed to happen this way, not supposed to work this way. In fact, it's not even that it's not supposed to. It is supposed not to. They have set everything up so that you don't win this regularly. Now, let's get into some of the things that are absolutely driving me bonkers that I keep seeing posted and reposted and talked about. And Sorry, this one's gotten me a bit backwards. So, Ovo Top Shotta, I have no idea what that means, on Twitter. John Dorsey draft pick still saving this team in December 2025, and they all 30-plus years of age. Oh, it's John Dorsey, is it? Are you sure? Here's what John Dorsey is currently doing. Since 2021, he's been a Detroit Lions senior personnel executive. If he's so great at being a general manager, if he's so great at the draft, he's so great at running the show, wouldn't someone have him doing that right now? In fact, do you know where he went after here? Many of you do. Cleveland Browns general manager, 2017 to 2019. That was the last time he had a general manager job. Do you know how well you have to perform at your job for an organization like the Cleveland Browns to say, thanks? For the Cleveland Browns to tell you, hey, John, come here. You ever think of doing anything else? The Cleveland Browns did that. And you won him back? So, it is the John Dorsey draft picks that are still leading the show here. Well, we can argue all we want about the technicality of Patrick Mahomes being a John Dorsey draft pick. He did engineer the trade. He did pull the trigger. Everybody in that building said that was a Brett Veach selection. That Brett Veach would not put it down. So let's just call it agnostic on Patrick Mahomes. You're saying Chris Jones and Travis Kelce. Do you want to claim Travis Kelce as the leader of the offense after that game? Especially at the end of that game? Travis Kelce, I believe, so Travis Kelce prior to last night was credited with 5 drops. We'll get back to that in a moment, but prior to last night was credited with 5 drops on the season. Hey, I'm a Travis Kelce fan too. But I think that it is overstating things to say that he is absolutely the linchpin of this offense in the 2025 season. There's a lot of receiving yards, don't get me wrong. Absolutely. But is that the guy you want to stick a feather in that hat right now? Now, if we're talking about rough nights and we're debating general managers, well, Trent McDuffie had a little bit of a rough night, didn't he? Is he not leading this team, however? Trent McDuffie is not a leader on this team? Is Trey Smith, Brett Veach's draft pick, not leading this team? Maybe not this season. Had some injury problems all through his rookie contract. Nick Bolton struggles in pass defense. I understand. Creed Humphrey, not a leader on this team. All of these have been Brett Veach's draft picks. Just because they don't play as shiny a position as tight end, just because they don't play a position that is as... So it's very rare for a defensive tackle to excel to the way that Chris Jones has excelled most of his career. So it sticks out. Rashee Rice, when he's not role-playing Paul Walker or dropping passes, he's not leading this team. Those are all Brett Veach draft picks. And you can say all you want. So, okay, well, let's look at it this way. How early in Travis Kelce's career was it obviated that he would be one of the stars? It was in year 2. Year 1, he was injured. How early was it in Chris Jones' career that it was obviated he would be a star? Guys, I think that was like year 3 or 4, wasn't it? Chris Jones, until he had a... Chris Jones struggled. Chris Jones, early in his career, was not an obvious starter. Chris Jones was so bad against the run that until the Chiefs had the linebackers that they have, Nick Bolton in particular, until then, Chris Jones was a liability on defense like half the time. Don't you remember yelling at the TV screen because other teams could just run at will on the Kansas City Chiefs? A lot of that was Chris Jones. I'm not down-talking him. You can go back and watch it. It's all there. Also, while we're on the topic of Chris Jones, if anyone, and I mean anyone, had any inkling that Chris Jones was going to be who Chris Jones has become, he would not have been available at 37 overall. He would not have been, simply would not have been there. This is not to take anything away from the pick, right? This is not to say that John Dorsey didn't make the pick and it wasn't a great pick. It was. But if anyone had any clue that he would be half the player that he is, he wouldn't have been there in the second round. He wouldn't have been there past the top 10. And I don't mean if anyone knew he was going to be a Hall of Famer. I mean if anyone knew he was going to be half the player that he was, that he is, that he was, that he kind of still is. If anyone knew he would be half of that, he would have been gone in the top 15. Top 10, top 15. No doubt in my mind. So, yeah, credit Dorsey. All the credit to Dorsey. Sometimes luck comes into it. Chris Jones, 9 sacks the past 2 seasons combined are thrilling, aren't they? You want to claim that as leading on the defense? Maybe. Look, I understand that he is doing more than getting sacks. You have to occupy him with blockers, but the fact remains previous iterations of Chris Jones were occupied with those same double teams, and he still got the sacks. So, little rough going the past 2 seasons, which, the next note here, I wouldn't be anywhere near as mad about Chris Jones' decline if it did not coincide precisely with his signing a monster contract. Players get older, players decline, but when it happens the moment you put your pen on that paper and start trudging sacks of $100 bills to your bank, that stinks a little bit. Now, here is another thing that is, it's hard to conceptualize about Chris Jones. Chris Jones was drafted 37th overall, which is a very high second-round draft pick, and it's a miracle he was there when he was there. But there's something funny about that. Because when we think about it, we think, oh, Chris Jones, second-round draft pick, great selection. It was, that season, the Chiefs' first selection as part of a trade down. I believe they drafted 28th. They ended up trading back with the 49ers, I believe, and ended up with that high second-round pick. Brett Veach, now, outside of trades and things like that, Brett Veach has had the 31st or 32nd pick 5 times. That's just the Super Bowl numbers. That's not including all of the consecutive seasons they've gone to the AFC Championship game. So Chris Jones, miracle second-round pick. Normally, Brett Veach is drafting 31 or 32 for the first time. For the first time. So that miracle second-round pick at 37 overall is normally 5-6 slots away from where the Chiefs are getting their first crack at things. That is a tough row to hoe. Veach, by the way, you want to talk about draft picks, you have to include trades. Brett Veach inherited Mahomes. Again, we're going to be agnostic as to who is responsible for Patrick Mahomes. So, 2018, because of the Patrick Mahomes trade, Brett Veach had no first-round pick. In 2019, knowing that what was keeping you away from the Super Bowl was high-impact defensive linemen, was a rough defensive effort, he traded for Frank Clark. You can blame him for that trade if you want. Go back and look. The Frank Clark that landed in Kansas City is not the same Frank Clark that left Seattle. Just isn't. You can blame Brett Veach for that if you want. I don't think anyone in the NFL world saw that coming, but that led to no first-round pick in 2019. That's 2. That's 2. And then, in 2021, because everything that collapsed in the alleged loss in the Super Bowl to the Buccaneers, which I don't remember that. No one's seen it. It's just rumored. It's like the Heidi game. People know it happened, but no one has seen it. He traded for Orlando Brown Jr., no 2021 first-round draft pick. Now, say what you want. Say that's mismanagement of a roster. You can. I'm a big fan of the draft. But because I'm such a big fan of the draft, I know that even though Frank Clark didn't work out, not really, I know that even though Orlando Brown Jr. kind of fizzled, you had better performances from those 2 players than the odds are you would have found in the draft. And certainly better performances from those players than you would have found in the draft immediately. Right? Frank Clark kind of stunk for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's got his fan base here. I get it. Frank Clark, the Shark, whatever you want to say about him. Pretty much everyone hates Orlando Brown Jr. But both of those players underperformed who it was they were acquired to be. They still outperformed what you were likely to get immediately in the draft from where you were picking. And the Chiefs have rings to show for it. The Chiefs have Super Bowl appearances to go with it. The Chiefs have 7 consecutive conference championship games that they accrued during that time. Now, if we're still on this case about John Dorsey, because I'm so tired of it. I am so tired of it. I am so tired of it. Here's the 2016 Chiefs. Now, 2016, Dorsey was the general manager 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. 2017, right? Because Brett Veach's first year was 2018. Anyway, 2016, he was deep into his run as general manager for the Kansas City Chiefs. Here are the 2016 Kansas City Chiefs leading rushers. How many of the Chiefs' leading rushers in 2016 did John Dorsey draft? Tyreek Hill, number 3, with a whopping 267 rushing yards. And, by the way, if anyone knew that Chris Jones was going to be Chris Jones, he would have gone much earlier in the draft. There were a lot of people who kind of thought Tyreek Hill might be some version of what Tyreek Hill has been in the NFL. But he had a monster drop in the draft because of some things from his history. Okay? So sometimes you can't take the draft fall and say no one knew. Sometimes you can't. People were just afraid to touch Tyreek Hill. What about the leading receivers from that year? Well, yes, drafted Travis Kelce, drafted Tyreek Hill, drafted Chris Conley. 3 out of the top 7 he drafted. 1, however, was a 1,000-yard receiver. Tyreek Hill had slightly under 600, and Chris Conley had 530. The Chiefs that season had 3 players in the 500-yard range, but only one 1,000-yard rusher, only one player over 600 yards. That was Travis Kelce. Now, moving on from that argument, I know probably I spent too much time there, but it gets me so heated to hear these things. Nate Taylor on Twitter. Here's a stat that is reminiscent of the 2023 season. This year, the Chiefs are tied for second in the league in drop passes, 24, according to ESPN research. And there's what I had said earlier about Travis Kelce was credited with 5 prior to last night. Now, here's the thing. If you've been here for a while, you've heard me say this before. That's Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce always has soul-crushing drops. His whole career, he's had them, right? But the huge plays that he makes normally outweigh the weight of those soul-crushing drops. They're getting real close now. That's the only real point that I have about Travis Kelce with that. But the drops last night, you had the one with Kareem Hunt, which that is not a Kareem Hunt drop. You had the one with Tyquan Thornton, which would have been massive at that moment in the game. You had the one with... Did Hollywood have one? I can't remember now. But you had... What was the other... Oh, Rashee Rice. Now, got one of those drops, got absolutely mollywopped. Okay? He's a possession receiver. He's supposed to make that catch. This is not the old NFL where he was taking a shot to the head. He got mollywopped. I'm not saying he didn't, but it was not a hospital ball. There's no hospital balls in today's NFL without a flag coming on the other end of it. So, Mahomes was absolutely let down last night. And I don't know... This goes back to basically what it is this year. Everything is just a little bit wrong. Everything is just a little bit wrong. This second in the league in drop passes with 24. Do you really feel that the same way that you did in 2023? I don't. Why? Because sometimes it happens like last night. Other times the Kansas City Chiefs offense is exploding down the field and scoring lots of points. 2023, it was just stagnant. I don't know what to say about the actual state of this team right now. It is so confusing. Do I think that this team is more talented than last year's team that went to the Super Bowl and lost? Yeah. Do I think it's more talented than the 2023 team that won the Super Bowl? I do. I do think that. 1 through 53. 22 starters on each side of the ball. Something simply isn't clicking with this team, and I don't know what it is. It's like everything is 2% off. Everything is 2% wrong. And nothing is glaring as a problem. Well, the pass rush is making the entire defense not work. I don't know what it is in offense. J. King says, Patrick Mahomes was the first player ever with a chance to catch Tom Brady as the GOAT. That opportunity has passed. Dude got beat by a hundo in the Super Bowl and is now going to miss the playoffs entirely when he should still be in his prime. Probably going to miss the playoffs. Here's the thing. Because we're going to get this. We're going to hear this a lot. Tom Brady never missed the playoffs. Well, he did miss the playoffs his first full year as a starter. Tom Brady in a full season after that year never missed the playoffs. Maybe you've got us there. Okay, great. That's the only quarterback. That's it. People are going to say Peyton Manning never really missed the playoffs. 13-year run, I think it was. 11 or 13 years consecutive, making the playoffs. Okay. Here's Patrick Mahomes. Right there. You see that? 17 wins. Here's Peyton Manning. 14 wins. Well, Peyton Manning made the playoffs his entire career. He never won playoff game 15, 16, or 17. Patrick Mahomes already has. Patrick Mahomes has more playoff wins than Joe Montana. Patrick Mahomes has more playoff wins, has 6 more playoff wins than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has 11 playoff wins. You want to talk about rarefied air here. Elite Joe Flacco has been playing NFL football since 1976. 10 playoff wins. So I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear about, oh, well, because here's what it is. When did that become the measuring stick? The measuring stick is right here sometimes. The measuring stick is right here. This is Super Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the measuring stick. It has nothing to do. This idea of missing the playoffs, precluding you from being the greatest quarterback of all time. Well, they started talking about that 20 minutes ago when it looked like Patrick Mahomes was going to miss the playoffs. The moment someone brings that up, you know that they are a victim of the times. They are a prisoner of the moment. That's all they are. Because that talking point doesn't even make sense. Who cares if he makes the playoffs? Right? Patrick Mahomes has 17 playoff victories. That is more than anyone except for Tom Brady in the history of the NFL. Look at this list. A lot of people don't remember that at one point in time, Ben Roethlisberger was projected to be the next GOAT. When was Ben Roethlisberger projected to be the next GOAT? Before Tom Brady was. Ben Roethlisberger came into the NFL and in his first few seasons had 2 rings. And everyone said, ooh, Is he going to make a run for 4 rings like Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana? Everyone kind of forgets that Terry Bradshaw has those rings. But everyone thought Ben Roethlisberger had a chance. People thought, because, again, remember, yes, these Super Bowls happened. Tom Brady at that point was a game manager. Do not forget that. Tom Brady, it was not until this type of the run, this portion of the run, where Tom Brady was Tom Brady, right? It wasn't until then. Don't let people brainwash you. Don't let people convince you otherwise. Tom Brady, no, look, all the credit in the world for these 3 Super Bowls here. Absolutely. He won them. He's got the rings. He was not this Tom Brady. He certainly wasn't this Tom Brady. Okay, so anyone who wants to say that this is, it's donezo for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is 30 and already has more playoff wins, career playoff wins, than everyone except for Tom Brady. Everyone in NFL history besides Tom Brady. Roger Staubach, 11. Aaron Rodgers, 11. Troy Aikman, 11. Favre, 13. Roethlisberger, 13. Manning, 14. Elway, 14. Bradshaw, 14. Joe Montana, 16. Patrick Mahomes already has 17. Golly. Now, I think that is the last point of contention, but here's the good talking point. The great big positive from last night. I've already been rambling for a while. I understand. I apologize. But look at your screen. These are from Nick Jacobs on Twitter. Snap counts from last night. Tell me when you see it. Just kidding, I can't hear you. Here it is. Do you see that? Ezapole. 63 snaps. I thought maybe we'd see him for a couple. We saw him for more than a couple special team snaps. 3 special team snaps. 63 offensive snaps. Now, I have to tell you, Ezapole was the best offensive tackle on the field for the Chiefs last night. Jalen Moore did not look terrible. Ezapole looked 3 times better than him, I thought. I thought Ezapole, look, it was not pretty, right? It was not, ooh, here's all my technique. Here's the right footsteps. It was none of that. But it was super effective. It was Ezapole saying, okay, well, if I get my face mask and my right elbow on you, you can't hit Patrick Mahomes. So it wasn't right here, gotta extend. It was none of that. But Ezapole was very aggravating to the Texans' defensive line. Ezapole might be the starting right tackle for the Chiefs next year. I know it sounds crazy. Give it time. Go back and watch that game. So this is credited to Arrowhead Pride, but the article from this morning. But here is the quote from Andy Reid on Ezapole after the game. He's one that probably didn't practice much in there, the coach recalled. With limited time, he stepped up and was asked to play a crucial position at a crucial time. I thought he did a respectable job. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough. Andy, go back and watch that tape. It was more than respectable. Now, it wasn't perfect. You're right. It was more than respectable, and I believe that it was the best offensive tackle play that you had on the field. It might have been the best most effective. That's a much better way to say it. It might be the most effective offensive tackle play we have seen on the Kansas City Chiefs this entire season, other than for Josh Simmons. I mean that. go back and watch. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, consider hitting the subscribe button to stick around for more. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.